Can you feel the excitement? Can you hear the memes? Can you smell the drama and taste the salt? This could only mean one thing. It's high noon in the Overwatch League. Over the last 10 weeks, we've seen teams rise, fall, and completely collapse. Let's see how the teams are doing at the halfway point. How does one describe the Uprising in a word? I don't know. Oh, I got it. Meh. To be fair, this core of players was expected to be one of the worst in the league, full of players that were relative unknowns. Well, they're not unknown anymore. Players like Dream Casper and Gamzu have become instant fan favorites, with the latter of the two proving his worth to the team when he had to leave for the beginning of stage 2, after a lackluster 2-4 start to the stage. Gamzu's return revitalized the squad, allowing them to win their final 4 games. 2 6-4 stages aren't bad, but not spectacular. No one is expecting this team to compete with the best. Still, this team is in good position at 12-8. They have a solid core and a staff team that has faith in them to not screw it up. I hope they don't screw it up. Please don't screw it up. The only thing that Dallas fueled this stage was the flame of drama. Like holy shit, it felt like every day there was something new with these guys. Probably because there was. I could go over it all and rant about it, but we have Michael for that. Predictably, it didn't translate well to the stage. The tank line is in shambles, and it seems like head coach Kaiki has no goddamn clue what he's doing. It's been impossible for this team to find its footing. Every time they take one step forward it seems like the entire organization explodes and they are back to square one. Loyal fans will point to the stronger performances against New York and London in week 5. But then I'll point to the 2-8 stage 2 record. This is unacceptable for a team expected to be the best non-Korean team in the entire league. Now the winless Dragons have a legitimate chance to take them down. Maybe with the main tank coach coming in, this team will be able to find some stability. Fuck. Thank Mr. Logix, because he is pretty much the reason this team was able to grab 3 wins in stage 2. The German DPS just started playing out of his mind, hard carrying this team with his Tracer and his Widowmaker. Sure, other players helped like Vic and Manhattan, but it was pretty much the Logix show throughout. With Zappos having more time to integrate into the team, and new recruits say a player and awesome guy arriving soon, it's looking like this team should at least be able to compete for the rest of the season, which is great for a team that looked destined to be stranded at number 11 in the power rankings. How does number 10 feel? Congrats Houston, you beat Seoul to end the stage. We're all proud of you. This is a huge accomplishment. By the way, you went 5-5 in stage 2. This is a huge disappointment, especially for a team that made the playoffs in stage 1. Unless you've been under a rock, you know the biggest hole in the team is the lack of a dedicated Tracer main. Jake, Clockwork, and Linkza have all looked uncomfortable in the role, and your own players are saying Tracer is your biggest issue.
What about this meta in particular is making this stage so difficult for you guys?
We are not comfortable running Tracer.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that.
So why do you pick up Arhan, a Genji main, instead? Unless he's been grinding Tracer for the last 6 months, he won't change much. Houston has a problem, and they seem to be hoping that the problem fixes itself, which is a guaranteed way for the team to fall into mediocrity and limp to the finish line. Welcome to the Fisher Show. Take a seat, we'll be here for a long time. Everyone has been singing praises for the main tank for the entirety of stage 2, and for good reason. He already looks like the trade of the season, as he alone raised the Gladiators from a low tier team to playoff contender, at least until they choked it away in week 5. However, Gladiators fans should still be proud of the immense strides this team has made. It felt good watching Fisher stick it to his former team. At 10-10 overall, the Gladiators still have control over their own destiny this season, and there's no reason why they can't make the playoffs at the end of it all. They have a very talented core that synergizes well, and aren't afraid to pull out unorthodox strategies to throw their opponents off guard. I'm excited to see where this team goes in the second half of the season. It feels like the Valiant have fallen as fast as the Gladiators have risen. This team was one map away from the playoffs in stage 1, and now sit in 7th place overall at 11-9. This team has just looked confused as of late, swapping agilities, Silk Thread, Cariv, Verbo, and Unco around as much as undead changes. I've been told I'll get banned for making that joke. Moving on, their controversial Inside the Valiant YouTube series has shown that there is such a thing as too much transparency, as it has revealed serious flaws in team philosophy and management, chief among them being the suggestion that the team has pretty much been bullying agilities.
I think some of the players on the team started looking at agilities as a problem to solve rather than as a teammate.
And just like I had to take a lot of criticism and a lot of feedback, and they didn't do it in the nicest way. So
now it seems like the management just wants to blow everything up and start over, barring a major breakthrough. I expect this team to continue their free fall towards the bottom of the standings. It will probably get worse before it gets better. Here is a team that could be the #1 team in the entire league. They have probably the best DPS duo in the league, the best main tank in the league, a top 3 D.Va and a top 3 Zenyatta. There's just one problem. They won't fucking play them. Not to say that their subs aren't talented, and it's nice of the team to give them some stage time, but there's no need to get all cute with different lineups when you know you have a group that works. This team has lost maps and entire matches just because they underestimated their opponents and sent out a less talented lineup. Would an American football team decide to play their backup quarterback against lesser teams to get him playing time? No, because every game is important and you need to play the people who give you the best chance to win. Still, stage 1 champion and 2nd place overall isn't bad. This is still a top 3 team. But they need to stop shooting themselves in the foot. Just play your best players and you'll stop dropping games against weaker teams. Why is that so hard to figure out? Finally, stage 2 champions. It's about time this team confirmed what most people were thinking. This is the best team in the league right now. Each one of their starters is in the discussion for being the best in the league at their position, if they're not confirmed to be the best already. They've only ever lost to the Fusion and the Spitfire so far this season, and won stage 2 without their star DPS Pine. It turns out Libero is pretty good too, showing a ton of skill and flexibility throughout the stage. Pine seems to be going through a lot, and I do feel bad for him. Hopefully he can get his head on straight and rejoin the team in stage 3. Regardless, it seems the team is in good hands, and should continue steamrolling the competition through the rest of the season. Holy shit. They actually did it. Not only did the Fusion make it to the stage 2 playoffs against all odds, but they upset the Spitfire in the semi-finals and took New York to 5 games. In stage 1, this squad had a lot of individual talent but synergized poorly, creating wildly inconsistent results and a mediocre record. In stage 2, however, they have gotten much better at working together. Their dives are much more coordinated now, and the addition of players like EQO and Snillo this stage have given this team a ton of flexibility. Also, the management have done a great job for the most part of knowing who to put in on what maps. I don't think anyone expected the Fusion to do this well in stage 2, but I'm glad to see them step up to teams like the XL and the Spitfire. Let's hope they don't crash like some other teams. The Shock are getting better, they said. Dax Lucio would take over the stage, they said. Well, Dak is now on the bench and the Shock show no improvement on the scoreboard at 3-7. Even so, there is good reason for optimism in San Francisco. New additions Super, Sinatra, Architect, and Moth are ready to bring this team back to relevance. These players, however, are all young, unproven, and haven't had much time to play together. At 6-14, it would take a huge turnaround to get this team to the playoffs, but there's always a chance. Are the Shock really as nutty as Sinatra says they are? We're about to find out. If there's one thing this team has, it's consistency, because they consistently choke away what seems like guaranteed playoff spots. 6-0 to 7-3 really does hurt. Sure, a loss to the Valiant in stage 1 was bad, but the Valiant were competing for a playoff spot of their own. They were a threat. In stage 2, you lost to the Outlaws. Let me repeat, you lost to the fucking Outlaws. That team had been in a rut for most of stage 2, so how the hell did you didn't play Fleeter in the first half? Why the fuck did you not play Fleeter in the first half? Let me get this straight. You are in a game that you must win to make the playoffs, and you decide to sit your best playmaker? That makes absolutely no sense. As of right now, I just cannot trust this team to come through in the clutch, which sucks as before Owl they were known as the best team ever. Maybe the pressures of the stage are getting to them, but until they prove me otherwise, I can't see Seoul winning anything. Not only has this team gone 0-20, but they've failed to even look competitive in a vast majority of their games. It's been a total shit show, and it doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. In the long run, this team should improve, with their new additions Adu, Sky, Phyllis, and Jeggery gelling together with a revamped coaching staff. But I wouldn't be surprised if this team is 0-30 by the end of stage 3. Undead is gone because he couldn't keep it in his pants. Dyer is MIA for unknown reasons, and there's a huge language barrier separating this team from any immediate success. I hope this team gets a few wins because the suffering Chinese Overwatch community deserves it, but it's not looking too good right now. Here's how I see stage 3 shaking out. New York and London will retain their spots as the top 2 teams in the league. Seoul will probably choke again, which means the Gladiators and Fusion will be fighting for that 3rd spot in the playoffs. In the end, I think the Gladiators have a higher ceiling than the Fusion, which gives them the 3rd spot. The Shock will push towards the top as they continue to learn how to play together, but it won't be enough to break the top tier teams. The Outlaws and Uprising will stay mediocre. I think the Mayhem will start out strong but then cool off, settling in 9th place. The Valiant will continue to sink as infighting takes over. Finally, the Fuel and the Dragons haven't shown me that they can even be competitive most of the time, so they stay in the cellar. Let me know what you think of this video and my predictions in the comments. It's my first time making a video like this, so I would really appreciate your feedback. Until next time, don't get scattered. Peace.